Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rock City Trio. I am Tim.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Catherine.
And today's topic is...
Toxic masculinity. Oh my God, Adam.
That's right. Toxic masculinity. What is the definition of toxic masculinity?
Don't worry.
It's when a man falls into a barrel
of toxic waste. Don't worry.
And becomes a super villain.
I made notes this time, everybody.
Oh, there's notes. We're getting fancy.
Some ASMR too, apparently.
What did you say?
Some ASMR too, apparently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I Googled it, and it said, Google translation, constellation of socially regressive male traits that serve to foster domination, the devaluation of women, homophobia, and wanton violence.
What? What was that?
Wanton. Wanton. W-A-N-T-O-N.
Okay.
Wontons.
Isn't
that like a Chinese treat?
That's why I was confused, because that sounded racist.
Yeah.
And any violence just against wonton soup.
Any violence against it.
Yeah.
So essentially, in layman's terms, all that means is it's the inability to progress as a male. It's a lot of traditional views that are on the more conservative, but not in the political sense, but in the regressive sense, I guess.
Using the term conservative is going to be hard to clarify that each time.
Well, I just clarified it. So if people want to get butthurt about it, that's their problem.
I'll get a little butthurt because I don't think so. I don't even really agree with this definition because I really feel like it can be determined or it can be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
It does feel too vague to me as well.
Right.
So
which I think is part of the problem that we've had altogether with the term, because it gets misconstrued in thousands of different ways. It can be something else to every different person, which is a problem.
My friend Joe Maskey, shout out Joe. I know you listen to our podcast.
Hi, Joe.
Thank you. He's actually an internet friend of mine that I met through YouTube nearly, I think, like 6 or 7 years ago, and we literally talk every day. It's really weird. We've never met in person, but we talk every day. Very interesting. Anyways, Joe has his bachelor's in sociology, and we've talked about this because this is something that he's studied quite a bit. And essentially, toxic masculinity, it can be interpreted in different ways. And I think the definition that I gave just now was kind of the umbrella. But really what it means, I think, for the most part, is the inability to let go of the traditional sense of male and making a stigmatization of not allowing men to support each other or be different, like effeminate, etc.
See, those are two separate things, though. Like, letting go of traditional, are you talking roles or just traditional traits that...
No, traits.
Okay. But even to a degree,
I don't
think any of those would be arguably an issue. When you're talking about traits, I'd say that it's more so kind of a moderation type thing, right? Like, I don't know, being, say, macho, wanting to, I don't know, fight everyone and everything. Yeah, that's a problem. But being willing or ready to fight or something isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
So it's more so moderation.
It's the extremism, which is what I was trying to get at with the conservative remark that I had made.
Okay, that's what I'm making sure of.
Yeah, to kind of be like, well, boys will be boys and boys can't cry.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I learned a lot of that because I have my bachelor's degree in communication and social interaction, and I'm really proud of it. But we talked a lot about how differently men communicate and how differently women communicate, and just how different the sexes are in general. And how, it's ingrained in us that boys will be boys. And if, Jimmy pushed Zach down this, in the hallway.
Arm, that's just okay.
That's just boys being boys. And, Zach's crying about it at home. And Zach's dad's like, toughen up, Zach, be a man.
Yeah.
That's the general idea of toxic masculinity. But I see it as there's the stereotypes that boys will be boys, or it could also be men just being assholes because they're men.
Yeah, like we talked about how when men are uncomfortable in a situation, say when I was in high school, I remember when I was dating Megan.
Oh my God, how dare you? I'm just kidding.
There was times when I like bought her things from like Victoria's Secret, like a hoodie or whatever. That pink was huge fat. And I would get made fun of by other dudes. I'm like, what? Like, how is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that's
that
ridiculous.
concept.
Yeah.
Like, if it's same thing. Like how people are. I like at the time in high school, and it still happens when guys are 30. But that's just my example that I know I can think of off the top of my head. But when I would go in and like get like a hoodie or whatever, but guys would literally be like, I'm not going in with you.
Right.
What?
And see, so I think that's more related to, thank you for trying to get my cat to meow. By the way, guys, Tim and I got a cat and it's like the coolest thing in the world. Her name's Matilda. She's beautiful.
No.
She is going to
touch me,
get
she says.
slammed in the chokey later.
No.
Yes. Because Matilda, the movie. So I think what you're talking about, I see that as more as the traits, like a boys will be boys. They're not, I'm too manly. I can't go in there.
Right.
So I see that as like just the stereotypes of being a man, that like I can't go into like the frilly stores. And then in a way it also can be linked to like guys just being assholes because they're guys.
Yeah.
And I've related that to working at a salon. There's only women that work there with me. Like for example, a gentleman had walked in wanting, a gift card, and he's just like, I want to buy a gift card and I want to do this and I want to do that, and just being like rude to the women that work in a salon because he's just like, God forbid my ego be shattered that I walk into a feminine environment.
Basically demanding things because he was uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be big. I'm going to be macho. I'm going to sound what? Why are you shaking your head at her?
Just concerning watching her just like sniff around, the equipment.
Well, she's not going to pee on it.
Well, no.
Well, you don't really know what she's going to do with it.
But she could also just accidentally hit a setting or something. Is more so the
Matilda,
concern.
go. Nobody likes you, apparently.
That's
I like her
not
fine.
what
She
we
can
said.
come hang out with us. We're trying to talk about things, and she just wants to play with our equipment. All right, bye, Matilda. Yes, so I agree with you. That's definitely
It's
a subcategory or whatever.
Yes, and I think it has a lot to do with like the tone of it, where I feel like maybe in your sense, like if a man's like, I'm not going to go in there with you, they just might be embarrassed because they're just uncomfortable being around lingerie or something like that.
Right.
Where in the example that I gave, when he came in just so strong and just so loud and just as if he had to be like this big and buff dude just to prove a point that like my ego's not shattered and my masculinity isn't cracked just because I walked into a feminine environment.
Right.
See, I think I'm lucky in that I haven't actually, I feel like, been around the concept of it too much. I think like most of the men I've known in my life and everything, both as a kid as like role models and stuff like that, have generally been pretty great and been pretty in tune with themselves and stuff. Still been, say, masculine at times and like Matilda. Like say someone from my family's church who was like one of the most ripped dudes, like he was a Marine and stuff like that, and I don't know, but like would also be one of the most in tune with his emotions that I would know and stuff. So I don't know if it's just the environment I was in, the particular church my family has been a part of or something, where a lot of them just tend to be very in tune with themselves and I don't know, just very comfortable with all of that. But yeah, because of that, I don't feel like I've experienced that too much. Maybe more so, I guess, maybe my older brother when I was a kid. But even that's kind of hard to remember because I don't remember when I was a kid as well, at least at that young. So,
well, I mean, I guess when I brought up this topic originally to Tim, like I remember being like excluding you, like telling him like, cause he's not like the other men in my life, like Tim is very intuitive. Is that the right word? To like your feelings and your emotions.
I like the phrase in tune with.
In
like,
tune with.
In tune with emotions and in tune with self and all that.
But like Tim's not afraid to talk to me about like deep shit, and Tim's not afraid to show his emotions to me. And I really appreciate that because I love my dad, I love my brother, but they're like the typical men. I feel like they fall in the stereotypical category.
Very traditional, yeah.
And I guess I never really related my dad or my brother to like the toxic masculinity. I guess I never really put them under that umbrella, but in a way they are. Like my dad was always very traditional, like Tim had said, that like, you know, well, if I cooked dinner, the women clean and the boys do the yard work and the girls, you know, clean the house. And I just remember growing up and my dad being like, Catherine, when I was really looking for a job, my mom's like, you got to go get a job at the gas station. I don't care where you work. And my dad's like, no, you're too pretty to work at the gas station. Do you know what I mean? Like putting like those gender stereotypes on his daughter and his son.
Well, and I don't see,
that's all linked to toxic masculinity, dude.
I know, but that's where
it's not murky. It's 100%. It's a part of that culture.
Well, like, but there are things in there that saying it's like and maybe it's just the way I experienced that, where it didn't feel that wasn't like a toxic thing. It was like, say my dad took care of the yard work and took care of that a lot. And it was to like make it so my mother didn't have to. It wasn't saying like, this is your roles and these are mine. It was like, all right, I take care of all this stuff. Kind of like
the part where it becomes toxic is where it becomes an expectation.
Right. And that I can concur with. And like, especially when you like saying the job thing, that made a lot of sense to me. I was like, yeah, that sounds not enjoyable in my mind.
Right. And I agree with you, but then there also is, when it becomes expected that women clean the house, that sort of thing. It's
just, the same concept as men not being able to support each other or show their emotional side. Right. That's only toxic when you're in an environment where it's putting those boundaries on you, a restraint almost.
Right. No, and that makes sense.
So if your dad was like, honey, I'm going to take care of the yard because I want to, because I love you, so you don't have to. There's obviously nothing wrong with that. It's where if she was like, and I know they would never, bitch, make me a fucking pot pie, which clearly I know your father would never do that, but that's a problem. Right. But I remember with I think it was maybe the first Christmas with you, or no, Thanksgiving, because it was your aunt and uncle that came up when I was helping with dishes, and your uncle had said to me, Tim, you're making us look bad. And and I was just like, I didn't say it, but I kept doing it, and they went out to watch football, and I was like, well, then come and help. Like, I grew up with all females, to be fair, which is the reason why I am the way I am.
Right.
But I would never categorize women as cleaning the dishes and doing the dinner. I love cooking, and I am more than happy to do my 50-50 share of whatever.
Right.
So I just never understood those restraints. Let people do what they're comfortable with. Like, I fucking hate yard work. If you love to mow the yard, do it. I'll cook the dinner. Like, that's not something I enjoy.
Yeah. And I guess, like, I mean, going back to like when my dad would be like, you know, you're too pretty to do X, Y, and Z or whatever. I know that's just my dad being my dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my dad loving his little girl and protecting his little girl.
Yeah, and maybe like a safety type thing.
A certain element of safety concern.
So I can see that when I was younger, totally understand that when I was younger. But now I'm 24 and I'm an adult, and he still treats me, you know, he still treats me stereotypically, I guess you could say. That's when I kind of feel like it becomes a little toxic, because now I feel like I'm not being seen as the woman that I am.
And a perfect example of that where you're both adults, you and your brother not being treated equally because of.
So again, you know, loving. What were you going to say, Adam? I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, like, would that continue in, say, when getting older, kind of expecting you to just end up being kind of a housewife type thing, like stay-at-home wife, mother type? Like, I was just curious if you feel like that level of expectation would be brought into it.
I don't know, because this is where it gets like murky for me, because I mean, with the story that I'm about to tell, I can understand why my dad did it. I totally understand it, but you know, being selfish about it is like a toxic thing. But then again, he does put this pressure on me to have this career. You know what I mean? Because my mom works really, really hard, and she has this she's the breadwinner of the family. So like, that doesn't bother him or anything like that.
Gotcha.
So being a housewife or anything, no, not
just
really.
Just wanted to check on that real quick.
I mean, have a career, but also be a little bit of a housewife, maybe, you know?
Okay.
Tim's shaking his head. So,
nodding his head.
Nodding his head, yes. So the story that Tim's talking about is the first Christmas party that Tim was invited to. My parents like to throw Christmas parties. And my brother was dating a girl at the time. We'll call her girlfriend A, because there's a few girlfriends involved at this point. Girlfriend A, they've been dating for a while. She's allowed to stay the night. Tim, who I've been dating at this point,
Almost a year.
Almost a year, is not allowed to stay the night. Fine. Girlfriend A was trying to push it with my dad, be like, oh, he's fine, let him stay the night. My dad did not allow it. So I stayed sober. Tim had a few cocktails and I drove home or to Tim's house. And we stayed at Tim's house because Tim wasn't allowed to sleep in my bedroom.
But you were able to stay at his?
I was able to stay at his. I know.
Okay.
It's kind of one of those things that if it's not under my roof, I don't have to worry about it.
That seems the opposite of the concept in my mind, but
I don't know that
whatever.
either. Yeah.
Because if anything, it's like, well, if it's under my roof, I can at least have some sense of what's happening.
That's what I've heard from other parents. Like my boss's daughter's 18 and like I've talked to her dad and he's just like, I'd rather have them at my house so I can have control over the situation.
Right. Yeah.
Anywho, zizzles. So the thing is that they're just like, well, we'll have Tim stay on the couch. And I was like, I don't want to do that to my boyfriend, putting him on the couch like a dog with a house full of strangers. So then
because there was other people spending the night
right,
too.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not good at telling stories, so I feel really awkward right now.
It feels like a safe assumption with a Christmas party and alcohol.
Yeah.
People would be spending the night.
Right. So my dad was all up in arms about me leaving and going to Tim's that night because I didn't want to put Tim on the couch with a bunch of strangers. And I didn't find it fair that he couldn't stay in my room with me. So then come the next Christmas, girlfriend B is here. And
well, in between at your mother's birthday party,
that was another one.
I was allowed to sleep in your room on a match. They had an extra
like
mattress,
an air mattress or a second mattress.
It was a second, and I was totally fine with that because Catherine and I aren't disrespectful. Like we're not going to be doing hanky panky under a parent's roof. Totally respect that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be in the room with my girlfriend and have a little bit of privacy. Like
just so you're not on the couch. If people want to stay up more.
Yeah.
Like if Tim's ready to go to bed, he's going to go to bed.
Or like say if other people wake up in the morning, you don't want to be like weirdly sleeping on the couch.
And I sleep in my boxers. So like, I just want privacy, I guess.
Yeah.
Mom's birthday, we had a bunch of family. So Tim was allowed to stay in my room on a twin mattress because my cousin and I were sharing a bed. But the door was open.
Yeah.
So
the door like had to stay open?
I think it did.
Yeah. I think he came and opened it a little bit. Which again, by the way, at this point, I was totally fine with because my whole point was just to make it easier for her because obviously I can't drive. So we wanted to be able to get fucking drunk.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't have been able to, or I would have had to find a ride home.
Right.
So
that was still girlfriend A.
Yeah. Which she pushed for at that time too.
She did.
And then it happened. And Chris even
because you got drunk and you asked my brother and my mom.
I did.
And my mom was just like, I don't care.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even your father. It was your mother that said, honey, do what you need to do.
Yeah,
and your brother even thought that it was nice that I asked too.
Yes, because Tim is respectful.
Yeah.
Was there another time?
No, there was those 2 times. And I feel like there was another time that I got I think it was the first Christmas party because even I talked to your dad and I was fucking smashed.
And he said, I don't want to talk about it. Like he told you not to talk to him about it.
Right. Not in a rude way.
No. He just genuinely felt uncomfortable.
He just didn't, he didn't want to talk about it.
So fast forward to this past Christmas's party and I was unsure of, oh my God, no, Thanksgiving.
I don't know.
The second Thanksgiving, was that still girlfriend A or girlfriend B?
B.
Okay. Anyways, the second Christmas party, Tim was allowed to stay the night. And it's because my mom had told my dad, this is the third girl. At the time, it was the third girlfriend that was allowed to stay the night with my brother in our parents' room while I still had the one boyfriend.
Yeah.
So that's also what kind of frustrated me too, is that when girlfriend B came into the picture, it had only been a few months that they were together.
It seemed quite clearly that you two were more serious.
Absolutely. That's I think what really got my dad is that girlfriend B was only around for a few months while Tim and I have been together at this point for an entire year.
Right.
Almost 2.
Oh yeah. It was this past December.
Yeah.
So my mom had made a point to be like, this is the third girlfriend that you have allowed to stay in your son's room under your roof while your daughter has had the same boyfriend who is very kind and so sweet and has treated me amazingly and still continues to treat me amazingly, that like you haven't allowed, you haven't trusted her.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, and
That's odd.
I don't think your mother was asking this time, to be honest, because
No.
while we were at the Christmas party, she pulled me aside when, I don't know what you and Ben and Gavin were doing, but she pulled me aside for like literally 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, and you two were in the room together, just the two of you, which is so sweet.
Both drunk, and she's just like telling me how much she loved me.
My mother's an angel; she never gets drunk. How dare you?
Oh well, yeah, whatever. Anyway, she was just telling me how much she appreciated how kind I was towards you and whatever. And she's like, I don't think it's fair. You're sleeping with like in Catherine's room tonight. That's fine. Blah blah blah. I mean, she's just like, it's happening. It's done.
But also keep in mind, we still had Ben and Gavin in my room as well.
We did. But ever since, we've always been able to sleep.
So ever since Christmas, now that we've moved out, oh my God, that
Someone
really
get
scared
the
me.
eggs.
I don't think it was that vehicle.
Oh.
After we had moved out, every time that we've gone to visit, we've stayed the night maybe 2 or 3
Twice,
times,
I think.
and we've been able to share a bed.
Well, has that been since you guys moved in together here?
Yes.
I would imagine that kind of made it a lot easier too. It's like, well, it's what they do all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that may have made it more natural.
I guess I can see it. I just remember my mom telling me, she goes, so Dad and I did have the conversation that, Tim's allowed to stay the night with us, in the same room as you. And she goes, I did tell him that this has been the third girlfriend and the same one boyfriend, that you really can't be treating her like this. And my dad just kept saying, like, please don't make me do it. Like, please don't make me do it. She's my little girl. She's my little girl. Please don't make me do this. And I guess I'll never understand that because I'm obviously never going to be a father to a little girl. But I mean, I'm not a daddy's girl because I'm never like, Daddy, I need my money. Like, my dad loves me and he really cherishes me. And he's been the best dad in the entire world. So I guess I can understand that he's just being protective. But as an adult, as 24, it's so difficult to understand.
I'd say the key in this situation is that your guys' age, like, what, 24, 28? Yeah. I'm good at remembering these things, sorry.
By the way, I could understand it and see it if it was the traditional sense of like they were Catholic.
Right.
But they're not.
Well, that's the thing, right? Say like with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My sister would never have been allowed to have someone over, but neither would I. And also that rule goes for staying at their house either.
Yeah.
Like it's like, nope, you're coming home.
Yeah.
So, but that's across the board.
But there was separate expectations.
Right. Yeah. And that's the point. It's like this was across the board.
Yes.
That's
right.
And I think that's kind of where it is toxic, is that the son is being treated so differently than the daughter.
Right.
And it's always been that way too. And I think I've just been more aware of it now that I'm 24, and kind of like how when my brother gets a girlfriend, my brother and my dad tend to pick on me a little bit more. I don't know what this is, but I brought this up to my mom, and my mom was just like, that's so funny that you said that because your aunt felt the same way. So when my aunt was a teenager and my dad and my uncle got girlfriends, my grandpa would kind of like tease her a little bit more. So it's very odd.
Bizarre.
I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what that stems from. Don't know what that is.
Well, and stuff like that could also just be a personal aspect too. Like, as in, like, I don't know, would that be something you think would be generic towards like masculinity or
I don't know.
Anyway?
I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
Right, because
that sounds like
some kind of
weird
quirk.
personal not a vendetta, but like a whatever that ganging up thing on somebody is. I'm not really sure. Some form of entertainment, like, look how we can all make fun of this person. It's fun. It's whatever. Like a breaking you into the family type thing. I'm not really sure, but it's definitely not nice.
Right. No, absolutely. But yeah, no, that's odd though. I don't know. It's hard to like analyze this stuff though, particularly, especially when you put it in a specific situation, specific person type thing, where it's like, man, there's a lot there that I can't like just determine, because some of it's just, psyche stuff that I can't say intentions, right? Or I can't say purpose with it, where it's like, say some of that stuff, if it's just like this overprotection, this kind of over concern, it's like that's understandable. It's still something to work through, but it's like it's at least from a good place versus something where it's just like, oh yeah, no, this is just how it is. Like, screw you. Like,
well, I think those can relate back to the stereotypical
No, absolutely.
stereotypes that are just embedded in us that it is really hard to break those quote unquote social norms that, you know, women are supposed to be dainty and sweet and innocent and men are supposed to be big and burly and tough.
I like being dainty.
You're incredibly dainty.
And when her father was insisting upon these things, I never really took it personally because I know that they love me and whatever. It was just that was not that I accepted it because I rejected it honestly because I never understood it.
Well, those sound like weird stipulations too.
Yeah, and just because I was an observer, so I think that because I was removed from the family, like I didn't grow up with all of them,
Right.
It was just so easy for me to pick up on it.
Yeah,
that
no,
it
that makes
was
sense.
a constant thing
Yes.
that Catherine's
'Cause it
treated
wasn't
so
like
differently.
ingrained. It was something that was newly
Right.
observed. Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
I mean, none of this was really ever brought to my attention until Tim's just like, do you know that they did this? I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. And then I have all these flashbacks from when I was like 13. I was like, my dad did this. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate to use this word,
Use the word.
but sexism is really there's
I
a lot
know.
of it, and
I know.
and that's a part of toxic
Oh
masculinity.
yeah. No, I agree.
So all that to say, and the wonderful family, not at all bashing them, but that's just been your experience,
right? And I know I'm not the only daughter
No.
that has gone through this. That's
And
the other thing.
To
too.
be honest, if we ever had a daughter, like goddamn well,
you're
she'd
gonna
be
be
a
the
daddy's
same
girl.
fucking. You're gonna
And-
be the same fucking way.
And but the stipulation would be across the board. Like I would never treat. I guess I don't know because I'm not a parent, so it's not fair for me to say these kinds of things.
yeah.
But I just feel like I was just raised by in a very different
Right.
environment.
Yeah.
Where my mother and I have always been open about anything,
Mhm.
and I just know that I would just be a little bit more open minded. I think, even though like yeah, you fuck with my daughter, you're gonna get your ass beat.
Right.
I think I would be more open to hearing things like, Dad, I need to go bra shopping. I would be more than happy to go with her.
Right.
Dad, I need birth control. I would be more than happy for you to be safe. Like those are things.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I'm not going to tell my daughter, you know, you're 17 and you have a boyfriend that you like. You can't have sex. Like I know it's going to happen.
Right.
So I would rather take those precautions to make sure that it's safe and you're comfortable with talking to me in case there's any problem.
There's that, and that's another perfect example that, you know, I'd go to my mom and be like, hey, I need to refill my prescription. And he'd be like, prescription for what? And I'd be like, my birth control. I'd be like, oh God, I don't want to hear that. And I'm just like,
Yeah, that's always been silly to me. Like,
where
in the
Tim has
past-
bought me tampons, just so everybody knows. He's great.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
like in past with either just friends or girlfriends or something, like just anytime they start to talk, it's like, yeah, like time of the month or something, like start my period or whatever. It's like, oh, I'll leave it on. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
I don't give a
that's
fuck.
just what you got to deal with, and I'm sure
Right.
it sucks.
Yeah.
You can talk to me about whatever. Like,
Exactly. I've gone through the check lane with chocolate, ice cream, and tampons many a time. Probably like 3 times. But anyways, many a time.
He called the salon and be like, can
2
you
out of
ask
3, that
Catherine what
sounds
kind
good.
of tampon she needs?
Yeah, because I don't remember. I've only done it like 3 times. I don't buy you tampons on a regular basis.
time. I'm a super girl.
Yeah,
take
click
like a-
Kotex, click sport, whatever they are.
Attaboy.
you could also just like take a picture so it's on your phone and
He
you can
has a
access
picture. I
it.
sent it to him.
Perfect.
Or no, he took a picture. He's like, are these it? I'm like, yep, thank you.
Now you can always look back on that for next time.
I always know the right chocolate.
What's the right chocolate?
That's more important anyway.
The caramel filled. What the heck are they there?
Ghirardelli.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ghirardelli.
Oh my God.
And then the fish food Ben and Jerry's.
My boys know me so well.
See,
So-
the chocolate's definitely the more important
The
one to
chocolate
remember.
is so good. I could eat a whole bag of that. But so something that I didn't even think about, toxic femininity is a real thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And that's like the
See-
stereotypes of being pretty
Here's really
and, you know, others.
Toxic human being
Well-
is really the way they should. Because here's my problem. I get really wrapped around. I think in general people get wrapped around the axle of these terms because they're used so commonly in the liberal agenda, and especially me. I mean, I know. Because Adam's not in school right now, and Catherine, you've been out of school for a couple years. So I'm a 28-year-old man surrounded by 18-year-olds at a very large campus, and I fucking listen to this shit all the time, and it
Yeah.
fucking makes my blood boil. All these people.
I mean, you're pure evil, though.
Oh yeah,
you're
because
straight white male. At the
I
moment.
have been in arguments this semester alone, basically just like trying to combat this notion. I mean, I'm going to give you an example real quick since I'm off on the tangent. Anyways, there was this girl.
40 minutes later.
Oh, I'm liking it.
There was this girl in my theories of communications class, and we were discussing film.
Shout out to girl.
Yeah, fuck you, girl.
Shout out to girl.
I can't fucking stand her. So this girl, and God bless her. I mean, none of these things are against her. She just sucks.
Fuck her.
She fucking sucks. She was a deaf student. But
Wow.
I know, now I'm really uncomfortable. Fuck her because she's
no,
deaf.
I didn't say that. I said God bless her. God bless that fuck. So
That got me, Catherine.
she was going. We were talking about film, and we were talking about one of the presentations that a African American woman had done was on how women are sexualized in horror films. So I kindly raised my hand afterwards because she was going off on how women are always sexualized and blah, 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 blah. And I kindly raised my hand afterwards and I said, I want to point out to you that Chris Hemsworth has said that in every Avengers film, he has been made to take his shirt off because it sells. And he has repeatedly said, not again. Like, please don't make me take my shirt off again.
That's the thing in entertainment as a whole.
As a whole.
Yeah.
And I kindly suggested, I was like, please go see films like Fight Club, where all the men have their shirts off for the majority of the film. Go see any magazine featuring male models, cologne advertisements, whatever it is. There is just as much pressure on men to be sexy with six packs and whatever as there is for women. So I'm so fucking tired of hearing that because it drives me nuts. What?
I have a comment, but go ahead.
The notion that both men and women are supposed to reach these unrealistic expectations is ingrained in us from a very young age for both ends. So I was suggesting that. And then I used as my example, this is where the girl comes into play.
Was she signing or talking to you?
No. She was hard of hearing. So she had a hearing aid, but she spoke.
We can edit that out. Was that too mean? I'm sorry.
No, some hard of hearing folks they refuse to talk because they
edit all this out. I feel
can't hear
terrible now.
themselves. I mean, that's just the way it is. Anyways, so the African American young lady was agreeing with me, and she's like, "Yeah, I didn't really think of it that way," which was great because we were having a great conversation. Then I used the example of how Ben and I have been rejected from like every fucking film festival because we weren't women filmmakers for Iris. And this girl went off basically saying that I couldn't tell a story like that because I'm a man. Little does she know what my past is.
Right.
And why I wrote that story.
Right.
I didn't write that story for you. I didn't write that story for anybody. I wrote that story for me because of my past. So then the concept that men can't be sexually abused or physically abused or any of that.
Ooh, we're getting into it now.
We are.
It's something
Strap the fuck in.
that's across the board.
Yeah.
And it's fucking disgusting.
Change my fucking mind.
Yeah, exactly. And,
no, you're right.
and there are literal statistics that men are raped more often than women are.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, well, in the prison and stuff like that is taken into account for things like that.
Gotcha.
That does.
But
That makes sense.
And you just don't hear
a lot
about it
of it.
because men don't come forward. A lot of the times there's suicide, there's drug use, whatever, because men aren't allowed to talk
Because of
about
toxic masculinity.
it. Exactly.
We came full circle, friends.
So
Well, the pressure of being fit, my comment, like, I'm not disregarding anything that you said because holy shit, that was good. High five. Wow. I think that can be under the umbrella of toxic femininity, that like you can't tell a story from a woman's point of view because you're a man.
no, I know.
Where
that was the point I was making.
baby, I know, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Where I did this story with you. I did Iris with you.
Right.
And I mean, our stories aren't the same, but we've gone through our own shit.
Well, it was half and half.
Yeah.
Half of that story you have experienced, and half of the story, not to the degree of which that I portrayed it, I experienced.
Right.
So here's my comment.
I'm ready.
is I think all of this stems from, and this expands past like toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. It's everything is just kind of the issue of basing people off of stereotypes and putting people into a box as opposed to being individuals.
Yep.
No one man is the same as any other man. No one woman is the same as any other woman. And like same with any like race or like sexual orientation or anything like that. It's like I think a lot of problems arise in culture and society just by when we immediately write anything off just because of one characteristic of a human being and not based off of their story or individuality or psyche as a person. That's my comment.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, and it's true. I think that people are so focused on even categorizing things like the term toxic masculinity is a categorization that people are very bent on because it's been overused by people that are extremists on either side of the coin, and it takes away from the message.
Absolutely.
Just like
the people
video
want things to be simple too, and it's like that makes it simple. It's like, oh, there's the one key. Like,
Right.
It's like that's not how life works.
Well, and for all of you out there that are listening that don't know, which is probably a vast majority, I have a YouTube channel where I review fragrances.
Smelly water.
And the most recent video I did was actually about toxic masculinity. And you should see the fucking comment section. Let me tell you right now, the amount of people that just go off on the term itself, like rejecting it.
And also to clarify, like that was part of the video. It wasn't really like the main focus.
It wasn't the main focus at all.
It was a term used a couple times throughout it just to make one of the points alongside of it. And yet it is what people pinpointed and focused on. Like, because I've read through those comments and stuff. It's like, man, people really fixated on the couple times you used the term toxic masculinity.
Yeah, 16-minute long video used the term twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's because
like 30
people
of the 80
can interpret
comments.
it in so many ways.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's why people get hooked on it, because they are feeling so many feels and they can't get it out, and they're frustrated because they don't understand why people are being this way and why stereotypes are this way, that they get fixated on this one word because they're just like, that's a word that I don't think I like because I feel these things and I don't really believe in it. So I'm just going to focus on this word. I'm going to ignore everything else that he said.
Yep.
But back to like Chris Hemsworth not wanting to take his shirt off anymore, and how
Back
like
to
people
Chris Hemsworth with his shirt on. No, I'm just kidding.
excuse me
Wait, that was toxic. My bad.
that like men and women have this pressure to like be fit and beautiful and perfect. The whole dad bod thing is coming back though. Like now all of a sudden like it's okay for men to be a little chunky, but women just not yet. Give us another 20, 30 years. Sure, we got Ashley Graham. She's beautiful. Love her. But we don't have enough plus size women all up in here, but we can have a lot of dad bods.
See, I don't know. I mean, because again, it's one of those things where in my mind, that's, you know, kind of a stereotype of like overall women are liking dad bods now. And there's probably generalities that are possible with that, but it's like, I only really know what I'm personally attracted to. I can't say like, oh, it's just a general trend that people are more attracted to this or that. And so it's like, it's weird to think that way in my mind. Cause it's like, I can't speak for someone else what they're attracted to.
Yeah.
But all I know is if dad bods are coming back, that's good for me.
I guess if anything, it became more acceptable. You know what I mean?
100%. I think
where I just don't feel that we're there just yet with women as much as openly or as publicly.
See, I don't know. Maybe it's just I still feel pressure. Like I would probably say, yeah, dad bod is probably where I'm at. I'm still got a decent bit of weight on me, but I hate it. I hate
also
that
have
I'm
a
not,
dad bod.
I hate that I'm not fit. Like I still want to lose another like 40, 50 pounds because I still feel like that's the expectation for me. So
right.
So maybe that's the case. If so, I don't personally feel it. Is I guess where I'm coming from with it.
You're not really in the dating scene though, Adam.
No, I'm not. So I'm not in many scenes, Tim. Let's be real.
I guess I'm just talking like.
But I'm saying I don't know what we could base that off of if there's not like a. In general, like me, you, anybody, I don't know what we can base it off of unless somebody's saying it to you directly. Like I've had people comment on how I look better with a big beard and a little bit of pudge on me. All of a sudden, you look better. Opposed to when I was 185 pounds and very physically
we first started
fit.
dating, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess what I mean is like when it becomes socially acceptable, I see it. I feel like the general audience of the world, what they consider socially acceptable is what they see advertised, what they see in the magazines, what they see people talking about. And people were talking about dad bods. It was on the news. It's in the magazines that like were into dad bods.
I know it started too a couple of years ago when Leonardo DiCaprio was filming for The Revenant. He was on some cruise, some giant party on a yacht that he was doing with all these fucking models. You know how he is.
Yeah, I know how my friend Leo is all the time. We text all the time.
Oh, I don't know if you ever seen any of the stuff in the news about him. He literally just goes and hosts these huge, like week-long parties on his yacht.
All I know is like he's doing a really good job trying to save the world.
All I know is I haven't been invited.
Yeah, God damn it. But they saw pictures of him and he had a gut on him. And everyone was like amazed, like everybody. That's when the fascination started, because Leonardo DiCaprio, who's conventionally attractive, suddenly has this gut on him where he looks like he's been drinking a 6-pack a day.
That's exactly what I mean.
And I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're so good at this.
That's when it started.
We're so good at agreeing with each other.
I remember exactly that's when it started. It's been that way since.
When was that?
And The Revenant, so 2014.
Huh, interesting.
But it's also, I don't disagree with the thing about the women, how we haven't gotten there yet, but I also don't fully agree because I see a fuck ton of people on Instagram, girls and stuff, love your body, like girls that have reversed, and not that I'm bashing them, but like girls that went from a really healthy weight to like putting on 50 pounds, and people like thumbs up 100 likes and oh my God, girl, you look so good. And
I don't know. Maybe it's like I'm subconsciously have put it aside because it's not because I don't feel like super 100% about my body.
I was gonna say, so because it might be kind of similar to where I'm at, where it's like I still feel, and whether it's self-imposed or societally imposed, I still feel pressured to. And so it might be the same thing.
I feel pressure too.
I will say, and I do too. I will say, I think I know where the dad bod and women being a little bit more curvy and swervy is coming from, and that being acceptable is the fact that people are in general triggered by everything now, and are in general trying to accept people for who they are now, and that in itself is almost toxic, because it's like, at what point do you tell somebody, okay, you've gained 200 pounds? No, that's not acceptable because you're unhealthy.
Yeah,
well, it's less a matter of like, tell people that, like, however you feel type thing. It's more so telling other people how they have to feel. That's where it becomes a problem. But.
Right.
Yes.
Because you see it all the time now. It's not just prominent, but with weight, but I do see it a lot, because I mean, there's girls like there's girls that have gone from being like a twig that are now built and muscular, like that one girl. She's on her Instagram, she's working out, she looks great. And she gets all the support, but she's muscular now, which is conventionally not what men look for in women, but she gets a ton of support. Or I've seen another girl where she has gained probably 100 pounds, and it honestly, if I'm being honest, doesn't look healthy, but she gets a lot of support.
But do you know, did she have a rough past? Maybe she was unhealthy in a skinny way?
No. Yeah, she was unhealthy and skinny, but there's not a moderation. Okay. It's exceeded. It's gone past the point of moderation where it's like, oh, you got an additional 20 pounds, whatever, no big deal. It's like, okay, well, now you're to the other extreme where you're now unhealthy.
It could be a healthy weight. She could have just gotten in an unhealthy way. That's how I feel about my body, is that I'm at a healthy weight. Sure, I could probably lose 10, 15 pounds. I'm at a healthy weight. It's just I didn't gain it in a healthy way. But I guess what I'm talking about is that even like celebrities, I mean, Ashley Graham, I think, is a perfect example.
Who's that? I don't know
who
that is.
She is a plus size model. And I'm not meaning like the plus size, my size plus size model. She's a bigger girl. Google her. She's beautiful, but she still has a flat stomach. And I think like she's still beautiful. She's still tucked. She's still toned, but she's got thick thighs. She's got a big chest. She's got bigger arms. So she truly is a plus size woman. Adam shaking his head, nodding his head.
Nodding my head.
What is that? Okay. That she's
shaking
beautiful.
is like saying no, because it's left to right. So it's good to clarify, especially earlier when it's like something.
Because this is audio, nobody can see us.
Well, and because it was something kind of more important.
We'll get the air traffic control with the out here for you.
But do you know what I mean though? Is that like she still has this flat stomach where if I was her weight, there's no chance in hell I'd have a flat stomach.
Well, yeah, she's probably still 6 foot tall.
But but do you get what I'm saying though? Is that like, Please be curvy, but have a flat stomach. Please be curvy, but make sure it's in your thighs and in your butt. Please be curvy, but make sure it's in your chest.
No, I know, and I agree. I think too for me in the personal comments that I've received for like you look good, blah blah blah. It's because I'm also still kind of bigger. Like my chest is big. Like
you're a thick dude.
I'm a thick. I have some muscle
like
to
a
me.
Snack.
Thick boy.
But I've just
really
gained
hot.
20 pounds or whatever.
You're really hot.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Your girlfriend's getting chunky over here.
She is not. She's so
got
pretty.
A thick face.
Don't tell me what to do.
She's got chick-mutt cheeks.
Stop.
It's a work in progress, everybody.
See, most all of my weight is right in my gut. Which is quite the opposite.
Dude, my fucking legs are like skinny and muscular as hell, and then I just got that.
Yeah,
I feel you.
I love my legs, but everything else can get taken care of. My ass needs a little needs like a whoop whoop.
A little squatty squat.
I feel like I do like
I could
good
use
heavy
like
squats.
a good 10,000 squats.
Got a lot of love to give.
Shout out Gavin.
There's
My
a lot
family, the at least the men in my family, we have like literally no butt.
I don't got a
at all.
booty either.
I got a flat ass.
You got a flat ass.
I got
and
a
like,
flat ass.
Your butt looks so cute in sweatpants, but it would be so cute if you had like a bubble butt.
I could get one if I wanted to do some fucking squats.
But you hate squats. You need to do
hate
squats.
squats.
You have such a cute butt.
Squat.
And I want you to do squats so I can touch it more.
Yeah. You gonna bite
Should
it?
I leave or?
You probably should leave.
But in any case, yes. So toxic masculinity and toxic femininity are very real things. But I think that that's all part of something, culturally speaking, that is just toxic expectations.
Yeah.
In general.
I like the term toxic expectations.
Yeah.
I do as well, but I have to think about it for a second. Yeah, I do as well. Okay.
Thanks. I'm glad we're all on board.
I need to like because all of these terms and stuff get so generalized and so there's so
Exactly.
there's such
And
minutia.
so
I need to like think about that for a second.
toxic
And be like,
expectations are I think is why it's such a good way of putting it is because it just covers everything. It's not pinpointing.
It's basically just saying
also,
it's basically just saying toxicity.
Yeah, toxicity.
So yeah, I concur.
Because I'm sure there was one point in our world that stereotypes were good. Like it was a stereotype that the men were the breadwinner, and that's good. That's the norm. That's what we want. So now stereotypes of like men always have to be the breadwinner.
Well,
do you get what I'm saying? That you can say the same sentence, but like use a different tone, and it changes the whole meaning.
Some of the times, the actual actions can be good, but as soon as it gets to be an expectation or a stereotype,
boundaries.
it's a problem. Like say a man doing things like that, where it's like, hey, I'm going to take care of the yard. Hey, I'm going to always like get the pump the gas into the car or something like that. Like those aren't bad, but then when it becomes the expectation that they do, or then expecting that the significant other does the other roles or something, like that's when that all becomes a problem.
right.
Like a girl expecting the guy to always pay on a date, that's toxic femininity, I think. Do you get what I'm saying? If we're trying to compare,
that's a toxic relationship. Yeah.
Not relationship,
but
just like it's a stereotype for men that they always have to pay on the first date.
Right.
And then when a woman expects it,
Yeah.
if we're trying to relate toxic masculinity, that it's like the stereotypes, the social norms of men, we have to say the same thing for toxic femininity.
Well, right. And
Yeah.
I mean yeah, absolutely. And
And
it's
men-
it's one of those things where like something like that could be a nice gesture, or say like old stuff that would be like what chivalrous, right? Of like holding a door or like open or something like that. It's like that's nice, but as soon as like that nice thing becomes expected or or stereotyped, it's like, well, that's kind of abusing it in a way, and that's toxic. So how much
we did it.
how much do you think how much flack do you think this would get or will get, this podcast?
I don't
Oh.
care.
I think we've been doing I think we're like 50-50.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
we didn't take
either
a
we do or we
side.
don't.
We
There's
just,
there's always going to be people that don't really like hearing it the way that it actually is, and they live in
That's
their own
why-
world of some fake reality, I guess. I don't know, but
Plus, if they don't like what we're saying, they can turn it off. So
that's true.
no, I just am intrigued. I'm not like worried about it.
Well, it's the same
always
thing
find
that I
it
thought with my
interesting.
YouTube video, but it's the pros have outweighed the cons with that one.
Yeah, no, I always just find it fascinating to pay attention to.
People are always going to want to argue about any of it, you know?
Aspect.
bringing it back to our intro episode, we like to talk about real shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in general it's just this a toxic expectation. And again, I wish people, I think where it becomes such a bigger issue. Well, I want to touch on something else real quick. You said that it came from a place of, with the traditional breadwinner and whatever, that it used to be looked as a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it was a good thing ever, because back in the 50s or whatever, that was the expectation and it was like a good thing.
Right.
That was on the outside. That was when people wouldn't talk about their problems and everything was behind
That's
closed
true.
doors. When men were cheating on their wives but they were the housewife and whatever, or beating the shit out of them or whatever. But you wouldn't know it because people didn't talk about it. So I don't think that it was really ever a good thing. I think people should just learn to let go in general and let people just be.
So, I don't know if I technically completely agree with it never being a good thing.
But that's what people wanted.
But that's a role or like those kind of roles are somewhat like based in history from necessity. Like say back when it was hunter gatherer and stuff like that, and they may have outstayed their welcome. That's possible and stuff. And so
I guess that's what I mean. Because if you're comparing it to, the 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, where it's like, oh, I wish we could go back to a time like that. No, you don't.
No, yeah.
I guess what I meant was that that's what people wanted. That's what people looked up to. The cookie
I'd say that's
cutter.
what some people still want too, which is another thing. It's like, then sure, but it can be unhealthy, just like any other situation could be unhealthy.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is that like on the outside it looks great. That's what people look up to. That's what people want. But that's no longer what people want. But yet we have this. There's still millions of people in this world that will judge you for not wanting that.
Well, and also it's still generalized because again, I'd say there are people that want that, but it's like letting people who want that and find it, and sure, good.
That's what I'm saying.
And then other people that don't, then don't, and good, sure.
So
it's individuality,
and that's the point I was making too. Is people need to just let people be. Just let people be, exist.
Yep.
And stop putting labels on everything, and stop arguing over everything, and stop getting triggered over every little thing. Just let people do what works for them and their relationship.
Triggers me.
It actually, it triggers me too.
Quite ironically.
And it's so funny. Yeah. I mean, it sucks that that's the way that these kind of terms are just thrown out there.
Well, it's especially funny dealing with anxiety and depression, where I can actually use that in a technical term with my therapist at times. And it's like, I don't even like using it in the technical term now.
Nope.
It's funny.
It's got a negative connotation with it now.
Hello, Matilda. Come here.
Hi, Matilda.
Do you feel like contributing to the conversation, Matilda? Please, after I said that, put in one of her meows from earlier.
Oh, that was her head nod. Meow. Whoa.
You want a treat?
Are you hungry? I mean, she's getting closer. This is a week old, everybody. Oh my God. Week old.
What do you mean? Like you've had her?
Like we've only had her for a week.
I was gonna say, like, she's like, what is she, like, a year and
3 months?
3 months. Yeah.
We got anything else to say? We didn't really close up this episode.
No. No, we did. I'm agreeing we didn't close it up. Yeah, so I think people should just learn.
Shut the fuck up, Catherine.
I think we should just, as a society, learn to fucking let it go. You know what I mean? Just let people do what they want to do to make themselves happy. Things work differently in different relationships, but also don't put your restraints on people. Be careful of judging and all that kind of thing, and just let people be and exist.
Well, and just don't have many expectations from other people as well.
The social norms change every goddamn day. So nothing is expected of anybody, but everything's expected of everybody. It's this weird vicious cycle that we all fucking have to deal with or live with.
This is why I don't go outside.
Yeah. This is why we need a new plague.
True. I like that being like a meme for the podcast, by the way, because I
have I said this before?
You said that when we were talking. What were we talking about? Was it the space one? Somehow
it's from The Office.
No, I know. I know the reference, but yeah, you brought it up, and I forget which other podcast.
Man, it's a feeling I have every day.
Yeah, I like every moment.
Let's talk about real shit, but we also need a plague.
That's pretty real. I always loved Bill Burr's thought on it of like if he ever was like a dictator, right? He'd just start wiping people out, and his plan would just be to start randomly sinking cruise ships.
I've never been on a cruise, so I think I think I'm in the clear.
Yeah, that's the thought. Is like it's like 2,500 to 4,000 a pop, like, and just keep building replicas as those ones get sunk, so I'm creating jobs. Like, it was a good bit. It's like a 10-minute bit he has in one of his stand-up specials.
Did we ever hear the theory that the Titanic sinking wasn't real?
Yeah. There's tons of theories
really
about stupid things.
We got to do a podcast where we take like 10 minutes for each one and do like 5 or 6
Like
different
find our own conspiracy theories.
yeah.
That'd be so much fun.
Each bring like 2 to the table. Oh, we got to do that.
Okay, we'll do that next time. Research needs to be done, Adam.
I know. No, the reason I hesitated next time was just because if we record another one right now.
Oh, we are recording another one right
just
now.
So it won't be
recently-
technically next time, it'll be the time after next.
I just recently heard a conspiracy theory about Bruce Lee that
Save it,
drove
save it,
me
save it,
nuts.
save it, save it.
Okay,
Well,
I'll save it.
I'm intrigued, but
Oh no, damn it.
but yeah, you should just remember it. Like, make sure to remember.
I remember everything. It's fine.
That's true. You are elephant.
Yeah, but thank you, everybody. This has been Rock City Trio. I am Tim. We have talked about some real shit. Thanks for listening to our real shit.
Oh, I'm Catherine.
Are you?
I'm Matilda.
Matilda, thanks so much for being a part of our podcast for 2 meows.
Yeah.
We're gonna get more because I want to be like My Favorite Murder and close off with Matilda meowing, but she's really busy right now.
She's playing with her toys. Or
Toy.
the cardboard box or
She
whatever.
has a literal toy box and she plays with a felt rat. That's it.
Yeah. Well, here's cheers to the felt rat. Thanks for talking about real shit with us again.
Thanks.
Rock City, we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye. Don't contribute to toxic bullcrap. Okay, bye.